Hi, everyone. I'm Farnia Furnell. For those of you tuning in for the first time, our series is called Leadership COGS, and today our topic is Reboot Without Retreat. We're here, it's summertime. A lot of people are thinking about going on retreats or taking some time off. So we're going to talk about rebooting without not necessarily taking the foot off the accelerator. So, for those who don't know me, I am a former Fortune 100 global leader in financial services. And years ago, I realized there was a gap in my understanding. I was trained as an engineer, I'm a first gen, and I understood business and process, and I didn't necessarily always get it. There are lots of unwritten rules that really help the best leaders and teams to thrive. And I just really struggled. So, just about 12 years ago, I used what I knew and I studied and got coached to fill gaps, and I launched the Lenserf Group. And in that time, we've trained thousands of leaders to soar past their limits. And over that time, we've noticed a trend. And that body of work is what led to Leadership COGS, or the four pillars of progressive performance. Now, what does COGS stand for? Well, C is for celebrating consistency. That's a key attribute of high performance. O, O is for taking ownership not only of your being, but also your actions and your role. G is the glue to keep growing in spite of being stuck. And S is the stamina to stretch into whatever happens to be next, in spite of whatever discomfort might be present in the moment. So I'd love to tell you a story, and this is just in time, literally just happened this morning. If our focus is rebooting without retreat, this focus touches on every single letter of COGS. 2 years ago, the Lenserf Group, started working with a large city government to develop and implement a train the trainer and a leadership program. And while we were really excited to do it, that government was going through some serious change. And there was tremendous opportunity to prepare those leaders for those changes, to prepare them to face new headwinds. And then 1 year ago, we were successfully able to graduate 52 leaders from those two programs. So to our delight, earlier today, I received a notice from a former client, and essentially what she shared was this was an unsolicited testimonial about the impact. You see, since we graduated those 52 leaders in those two cohorts, they've since run an additional 5 cohorts of leaders, bringing the total count of graduates who've been trained up to 200. And then she reported that these leaders, as they were wrapping up their final presentations, it basically turns into this really emotional experience that leaves them and their colleagues in tears. Now, the testimony isn't in the tears. The testimony is in the heightened self-awareness that these leaders are experiencing. And what she shared, such a simple gesture, it was a letter, yet it had a profound impact on rebooting me and rebooting our team at the Lenserf Group. So let's talk about why this feeling of reboot happens. Reboot without retreat. Let's talk about why and what you can do as a leader to keep your engine running, even when sometimes you're not running. So let's get started. First up, we're going to talk about redefining presence. So it's been more than a year since the completion of that leadership program. And while the Lenserf Group and our partner firm stepped away, the real work of percolating those leadership lessons throughout those city agencies, the real work was just beginning. And we didn't need to be there for our impact to be experienced. And that's what's really profound. We didn't need to be there for our impact to be experienced. And I ask you, as a leader, even if you manage a team of one, how often do you notice if your impact is present, even if you are not? So then I'd like to point to the importance of redefining presence. There was research from Microsoft's Work Trend Index, and it shows that about 53% of managers report feeling burned out. And I could wonder why and say, well, why do they feel burned out? Nowadays, a lot of people do feel burned out for various reasons. But part of what's causing this burnout is the pressure to appear constantly available. So, depending on what system you're using, if you're on Teams or if you're on some other network, you might always want your status to be green or demonstrate that you're in a meeting or do not disturb because something's going on. You're probably looking at your status and what if my status is just showing green that I'm available? Does that mean I'm not doing anything? So that constant pressure to appear available, to appear ready or busy or doing something, as if that availability is the only way to be impactful as a manager. And to this, I just encourage you as leaders to redefine what presence means for you. For many of you who might still be struggling with the return to work mandates, that's happening a lot, like in Philadelphia, that's happened. Return to work and it's still causing stress. I'll ask, "Oh, why struggle?" Because presence is not just about your physical availability, it's about your intentional visibility. So ask yourself, what is the desired result of my presence? Is it that I want a more cohesive team? So when I'm around, I want them to feel, right, like we're a team, we're all here. Is it that you might want faster resolution to issues that might be out there? So if I'm available, then when we get stuck, we get through the stuck and then we keep on moving because I'm here, I'm here. Or is it something else? Just ask yourself that question. What is the desired result of my presence? What is the outcome I'm going for by physically being present or being on or having a green light? And this is a tip. I encourage you to consider visibility anchors. So this might look like face to face, like a face to face meeting. Or if you're on camera or a virtual meeting, this could mean people have their actual cameras on during at least one meeting of the week. This could mean, as a leader, you actually set up office hours. So if you're a virtual team or that hybrid weird thing where some people are in, some people are out, this could mean a dedicated time of your week when anyone can pop on a standing Zoom or standing Teams or standing meeting. Just pop in and have a chat with you. Unsolicited. They don't have to block the time and get the approval through your administrator, whoever that is. They don't have to do that. They can just pop in and chat about something that might be important to them that they forgot to tell you during your one-on-one, but just to have that dedicated time where anyone can just remain in queue. The technology is amazing now. Again, you can use breakout rooms to get this done, but this is certainly something that can lift and serve as a visibility anchor. Another thing that you could do is set up standing or stand-up meetings. So set up stand-up meetings where this is a quick alignment thing where you take 15 minutes maybe and just get everyone on the same page. Might happen on a Monday, where you can use the start of your week to use Monday messages or start of week messages that are basically accomplishing the same thing, getting everyone on the same page with what the expectation is for the week. And I would encourage you to encourage your team members to also set up these visibility anchors for themselves. What else? So when we're talking about rebooting, and this one is really for leaders who may struggle with delegation. And I'm not going to, point finger. Is this you? Is this you struggling with delegation where you're trying to attend every meeting as a leader in a position that you need to talk in the meeting, you need to comment, you need to delegate or show your authority in some material way? Is that you? Think about it. Is that how you show up for your team? Is that how you show up in the rooms that you're in, that you have to demonstrate that you're the leader at all times? That's showing up, and then you're following up incessantly. How's this? How you going? How's it going? How's it going? Is it done? Is it done? Is it done? Right? That erodes trust. And it really reduces accountability. It reduces autonomy. And frankly, it reduces ownership. So I said today we're talking about all the cogs. This reduces the sense of ownership because in reality, they don't own whatever it is that you're micromanaging. You're demonstrating you own that thing. And it's difficult to reboot or even retreat if the pedal is on your neck because someone's always looking over your shoulder. It's difficult to feel a sense of possibility or feel a lift or feel relief if someone is always, always watching in that way. So ask yourself, why would someone want to work in these circumstances? And in reality, the person may be feeling, why should I try when he or she might redo whatever I'm doing anyway? So when you as leader might be practicing some of these habits, it might be difficult to lead and elevate your team members to lead themselves and whatever work they're managing or whatever other team members they might be managing. So introducing a purposeful pulse check can help with this. With the meaningful check-in, I stress the meaningful. With a meaningful check-in, you'll build engagement rather than erode trust. So rather than ask, oh, how's it going? How's it going? Are you done yet? Prompt your people with the following prompt. You can ask, what is one win? What is one roadblock? Or what is something that you might need from me this week? Or alternatively, again, this is just a plug for the COGS framework because COGS works wonderfully well for status check-ins, okay? So status checkups, check-ins, whatever, COGS works well. You can ask your team, what do you want to celebrate? Get that brain activation going. What do you want to celebrate? What are you taking greater ownership of this week? That's literally like asking, what are you laser focused on this week? Where's the glue that's keeping you stuck and might require some of my support to unstick or some of the resources that I can unlock for you so you're no longer stuck? And then that S is what feels like a stretch for you this week? And simply by answering those questions, you'll have the insight to set expectations and also you as leader to understand how to manage your week. If you've got 6 direct reports and each one of them is giving you a short status update like this is really telling you the things that you might have to clear the next week, how you might need to reprioritize your own time in order for your team to be successful. So I recommend doing this at the tail ends of your week as it can help you manage, again, your priorities and balance their and other stakeholder expectations. So let's move on. Let's move on to this one. So personal operating rhythm. Now, I just talked about planning your week and how key and important it is to plan your week. I I'd love to say this because the goal here in our discussion is about rebooting to still get things done and keeping whatever needs to stay in the air still in the air. And during the summer months, personal rhythm, it might be different, right? Like your rhythm might be different. Just acknowledging that difference is important. Energetically, you might naturally respond to longer periods of sunlight or other external elements that affect your energy. I know I wake up earlier in the summer months, and there are things at home that change as a result of the summer months. So the idea of a personal operating rhythm is exactly that. Plan your schedule around your available energy, not just your tasks. So what energy do you have available to do whatever it is that is on your plate to do? And that's how you reboot without retreat. It's using the same available time, just prioritizing things differently so it matches your energy rhythm, your personal operating rhythm, you'll find that not only do you get more done, but you feel better about actually doing it. So you'll get more done and you feel better when doing it because you're at your peak. So talk about a reboot and not needing to retreat because you're using exactly what you have, just in a more efficient way. Same hours, just smarter allocation of those hours. So knowing that each week might require strategic thinking, each week might require focused work. Each of your weeks might require restorative time, right? Just to take a breather. And each week, there is going to be some time to align with others. So that looks like meetings sometimes. But now you get to align your time to match that. And you might wonder, well, okay, I do that. And why is the summertime any different than any other time? Well, the summertime offers oftentimes a shift in schedule. If not in your schedule, in your colleagues, those that you're working with, something might change for them. So noticing that shift alone, I know in Europe, we have a lot of folks that are in Europe and their schedule, you talk come August is completely different, right? So preparing deliverables, preparing timelines to account for those things is also important. So we're going to switch to the last consideration for rebooting without retreat. So again, by the time the summer rolls around, like a lot of people heed to the pressure of other responsibilities, right? Vacation, childcare, pick up and drop off, community connection, or national holidays, right? Like some people consider the summer season in the US starts with Memorial Day and ends with Labor Day. So community connection, national holidays, or other events that are competing for your available capacity. And that sense of overwhelm can increase during this time because there's so much that you can be focused on and so many things. Your sense of overwhelm might go up instead of going down. So reboot and retreat may not necessarily feel like they belong in the same statement. So how can you reboot without retreat when you're feeling this additional stress of the season? Well, the American Psychological Association and many other bodies of research have shown that micro recoveries or short, intentional breaks, and I'm saying it that way on purpose, short, intentional breaks, they restore cognitive performance and decision-making power. So if you don't have hours, right? You don't have a full day just to take off every week. You can't do that. Short, intentional breaks can restore you in the midst of that stress. Oh my gosh, we didn't get to camp on time. Oh my gosh, we didn't, all of the, oh my goodnesses. Oh, our stakeholders not available until September. All of those things that might possibly derail and cause additional stress. Short intentional breaks are actually supportive. You don't have to take your foot off of the pedal of progress during the summer months. You only have to stop at a stoplight for a moment. And I say this, and you might ask, what does that look like? What is a short intentional break that's not like a full day off? One, I implore anyone. So in many places, the summer represents warmer weather or nicer times outside. It might be too hot in some places, but taking a mindless walk outdoors, ideally, without any technology. So not carrying the mobile phone, thinking that you're going to catch up on phone calls, just taking a mindless walk without any technology. And we're not talking 30 minutes, a short walk without any connection to anything, ideally outdoors, reconnecting with nature. A short walk can make a massive difference in your disposition. Another thing is you might even invite a friend or a colleague or a direct report to consider joining you on one of those mindless walks. And maybe it's not completely mindless. Consider doing your one-on-ones in the summertime while you're walking. Walking actually increases the blood flow and it enhances executive function in the brain, including attention, working memory. There's all kinds of good stuff that happens. There's mood boosts that happen. Again, increases dopamine and serotonin. Those are neurotransmitters that are associated with happiness and well-being. And ironically enough, creative output is improved and enhanced because of walking. There was a Stanford University study that was done, and it came back that creative output increased by 60% when participants were walking. So if you can imagine being on a walk with a colleague where there might be some conflict or something going on between the two of you, or having to deliver a difficult message with someone, or trying to ideate on new possibilities when you might be stuck, or trying to influence another stakeholder. All of these things can happen and with much better outcomes if you simply introduce walking. So again, a simple walk can support conflict. It can support team building because all these wonderful neurotransmitters and things going on with you, and innovation. We're talking about building, not burning, building. Then lastly, if you don't have time for a walk, because some people, it's difficult to leave my office. Well, I'd encourage you to try to find time to do it in spite of that. But if you don't have time for that, that's okay. Because you may have this 10 seconds. Think for yourself, where in your day might you have 10 seconds? It's 10 seconds to up to 2 minutes to reconnect with one or more of your senses. And what does that look like? Your sense of taste. So even if you can't leave the office, you can't leave your work. There's something that you're going to eat or drink. So your sense of taste, and when you're eating or drinking for just 10 seconds, notice the flavors in your mouth or the temperature of that food in your mouth for 10 seconds. Sense of touch. When you're touching your keyboard to type that next email, instead of just typing the email, actually feel the keyboard under your fingers and notice if there are any ridges on the keyboard. Many of you may not have noticed that you have ridges on your keyboard. Your sense of hearing. If you're in the office or if you're working from home, just for 10 seconds, notice what you can hear that may not be on your call. It may be in your environment. Do you hear the hum of the air conditioning? Do you hear an ambulance outside? Do you hear cars going down the street? What do you hear? Do you hear a colleague on another conference call? But notice for 10 seconds using your sense of hearing, your sense of smell. If you're eating your lunch, like what is it that you're smelling? Does a colleague have new perfume? Or sense of sight. And this one, if you are virtual and joining meetings all the time and you're in this hybrid environment where people are on Teams or whatever it happens to be, at the start of your calls, I invite you to tune in to someone's face and just notice their facial features, something you might not have seen before. Or if you're on that same call, notice if there's a different background that you see behind someone's head. And this isn't oh, I wonder where they are. No, it's just noticing something different and tuning in to one of your senses to get present. Because by doing that, you are building new neural pathways and you are rebooting without retreat. And that's what we're talking about, is rebooting without retreat. Quick summary. So what is it? 4 things. Redefining presence. What does presence actually mean for you? Build purposeful check-ins. I say purposeful intentionally. Purposeful check-ins, not just, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Purposeful check-ins. Use the COGS framework. I encourage you to do that. A personal operating rhythm. So align your energy in the summer months with your available work. for the most output. And then number four, use this summertime to build, not burn. This is a great time to introduce trainings or new learning opportunities for people when they have that time. They're in a different state. They might be more open to those kinds of things. It's a great time for that. I just want to wrap up for today. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll be back on July 21st for another episode of Leadership COGS, where we're going to talk about difficult people or difficult patterns. In the meantime, don't forget you can catch this session and many others on demand anytime through the app. And if you have any questions or if you want to connect, feel free to scan this QR code and connect to me directly. I'd love to hear from you, or drop your email in the chat or send a message to team@betterspaces.com. Thanks again for being here. Take care, and as always, be well.